Hello and welcome to I Want Her Job. My name is Brianne and I am the founder of I Want Her Job. I started I Want Her Job in early 2010 as a resource for women who were looking to get their foot in the door at their favorite industry. At the time, the United States was in a recession and my peers and I were entering a job market that wasn't so eager to take on new hires. So getting a job at any point was a win. But at the same time, there was a strong desire amongst my generation to find a way to get into their dream job. I mean, why else did we invest 4 years in college? At the same time, many people also weren't sure what they wanted to do next. This is so common that we could all learn a lifestyle for surviving this experience. I wasn't one of these people. I was actually someone who knew what career I wanted to pursue from a very young age, the magazine industry. The industry was notoriously tough to break into, especially as a girl from a small town in western Montana of about 4,500 people. But I found a way to get my dream internship at 17 magazine. And while that's a story for a different day, something I experienced while I was at the magazine left a profound impact on me. Teen People magazine folded. For those of you who are millennials like me, you'll remember Teen People. It always had the hottest, most of-the-moment celebrity on the covers, from Aaliyah and Mark McGrath to Jennifer Love Hewitt. It had stories about real teens inside. It was entertainment with a twist of some great newsy pieces tucked inside the covers. I remember sitting in my cubicle just feeling sad. On one hand, the magazine folding meant less competition for 17, which was my dream magazine and I was interning at, so that was a good thing. On the other hand, as someone about to graduate a year later, it meant one less publication that I could apply to try and get my foot in the door for my first quote-unquote real job. Fast forward to 2010, and I was lucky enough to be the editor-in-chief of the Montanan, the alumni magazine of the University of Montana in Missoula, Montana, my alma mater. It was a role that only opened, it seemed, once a decade, and it had never gone to someone as young as me before. I remember feeling in awe and this huge amount of responsibility weighing on me at the same time. I was also in a position at the time to manage others older than me. That was quite a new experience, which is also another conversation for another time. But it was at UM where I learned the power of sharing credit and building bridges. In order to get any creative project approved, any article, photo, you name it, there are levels upon levels of approvals needed. With an alumni magazine that was the voice every 4 months for departments ranging from alumni relations to research to athletics, that meant an advisory board with differing opinions and ideas. But it's also where my muscle for finding consensus and common ground began. It's a trait to this day that is as vital to me in my current job as my passion for the creative process and storytelling that motivates others. About 5 years into this job, I had checked the boxes on my big goals for the magazine. And while I loved working on it, and to this day, thinking of my office in Brantley Hall with pages of the magazine pinned up as an issue came together makes my heart flutter, I was ready to leave Montana. I wanted to get back to a big city like I had explored when I was in my 17 internship. So I naturally did what my job at the alumni magazine taught me. I networked with alumni. There were alumni from UM who were in the new industry I wanted to break into, which was advertising. And I met with incredible minds from California to Oregon at some of the biggest shops and varying roles, from creative to digital to production to account teams. And as serendipity would have it, my next job actually was working for an alum of UM on a digital advertising team. While I was undergoing this job search, I was encountering person after person who had solid, tangible advice. And being a storyteller, I wanted to share this with others. At the time, I was a fashion blogger. This was back before fashion blogging was a thing, but I decided I'd rather change my focus to creating a career website for women. One day, on a solo hike up the M, the name I Want Her Job came to me, and the site was conceived. I launched I Want Her Job with interviews with just 5 of my friends. Back at this time, Facebook groups were really popular. I remember the first time someone joined my group for I Want Her Job who I didn't know, and that feeling was so exciting. It was just the traction I needed to keep going. I Want Her Job was an originator in the career space, specifically for women. This was before Girl Boss was a trend. It was before blogger X and Y and Z decided they wanted to write websites about careers just like me. And at the time, the career space involved a lot of stagnant, generalized career sites for job listings. They were boring, and quite honestly, they just didn't appeal to me. Over the years, I Want Her Job grew. I went from interviewing friends to interviewing the former GE Vice Chair, Beth Comstock, and the women whose job I wanted as a young girl. Creator and author of the Babysitters Club series, Anna Martin. And of course, some of my magazine heroes, including the famed Cosmopolitan editor, Kate White, and Women's Health Editor-in-Chief, Liz Plosser. A few years into I Want Her Job, I received an email from someone named Paulina. Those of you who've been followers of the site for quite some time will know who this is. Paulina wanted to start a career podcast interviewing women about their jobs. Basically, it was a podcast version of the very site that I had created. And instead of launching something new, she asked, can she join forces with me? And could we launch this new podcast together under the I Want Her Job brand? Honestly, I had no idea what a podcast really was, other than sports talk and NPR. And those didn't appeal to me. So I wasn't sure if a podcast was the right fit for me in a project I wanted to get involved with. But upon a lot of reflection, I decided to give it a try. I was always saying on I Want Her Job that as women, we are stronger when we stand together instead of competing with one another. And so off we went. The interviews Paulina brought in added dimension to I Want Her Job. She was interviewing social workers, women in impact investing, women who are on the front end of flexible work. I loved working with Paulina. We had a great relationship and I have deep respect for her. And then 2020 came. After 10 years of side hustle, late nights, navigating legal calls, and how to start a business, and working hard for ad sales, I simply lost my passion for working on I Want Her Job. I missed the creativity by it. I was drained by the business aspect, and I also wanted to take a break from social media. I was in the beginning of a new job in a new industry, starting my own team, and that needed every ounce of focus I could give it. Because of this, I just didn't want to get back on the computer every night when I got home or on my weekends. And furthermore, I was working on site at a hospital through a pandemic. So while I wasn't caring for patients, my team and I were responsible for transferring a lot of things that we would do at my job into digital format so people could still access it. And it was a lot of extra work. And on top of that, there was the emotional fear of not knowing what this pandemic would mean, where it was going to go. And to say that I would come home just depleted is an understatement. So in short, I needed a space each evening to care for myself and not spend it running a business. At the same time, Paulina wanted to push harder and grow the podcast. So Paulina and I decided to part our partnership. She kept our followers on the podcast and rebranded to a new name. And I kept the episodes and interviews that I did, as well as the I Want Her Job name. It was the best split I've ever experienced, and she remains one of my dear friends today. And you'll hear from her later on in this very podcast later on this season. In the past 4 years since 2020, I've changed a lot. I've become a mom. I've grown in my career. I've moved states. I've had relationships that have started and relationships that have ended. I've grown as a writer and editor in my faith and as a woman. So why would I want to launch I Want Her Job again? 2 reasons. First of all, I've missed it. I enjoyed having conversations with women who were changing the face of business. I miss hearing from readers who follow the site. And those parts I don't like, well, I'm shrinking them as much as I can by working with talented people so I can focus on the creative content and the vision. Second, we still have a long ways to go as women. Many women still don't receive equal pay for equal work. Many women still experience sexism at work and even at home. Across the globe, women are losing access to education and the ability to show their faces. At home, many of us live in states where we no longer have the rights we used to have over our own bodies. I Want Her Job is needed just as much now as ever before. I want to be a part of creating a world more welcoming, respectful, and embracing of women. I Want Her Job is not a political site, but we are a site for women, for women's voices, for women's ideas, for women's dreams, and for women's rights. But you won't see interviews from people only affiliated with one certain point of view or political party. You'll see a breadth of viewpoints and discussions that focus on where those with differing viewpoints can come together to enact real change for our daughters and sons and future generations. I want to underscore, though, that this isn't done in isolation from men. In fact, I owe my career in large part to many men who helped me get my start and who mentored me along the way and who are my friends to this day. And we need them. We need their voices and their perspectives, just as we need women's voices and women's perspectives. And as women, we need each other. I Want Her Job is a collective conversation about how we can make positive change, embrace what works, and start with ourselves and our circles of influence to be the change we wish to see in the world. When I was in my early 20s, I Want Her Job focused primarily on dream jobs, how to get them, how to stand out, showcasing what they were. It makes sense because this is the point I was at in my own life. Now I'm at a different point of my career, the thick of it, and I'll be catering my content toward others in a similar position. If you want to learn about breaking into an industry, I have over 1,000 interviews on iwantherjob.com, and topics will discuss just that. But the new I Want Her Job will be digging deeper into one's career path and deeper into our tagline than ever before, curated career conversations. I'm going to break that down. First, curated. Each season is going to be based on a theme, and I'm calling each season a chapter. So each chapter is going to have, 12 to 15 interviews with a hiatus in between. I'm someone who believes we don't need more content saturation. In fact, we need more smart content curation, content that's thought out, that has detail put into it. And I care about your time, honestly. I know how hard it is to fit all of the things that you need to do into the day. I'm someone who goes through that myself, especially as a mom who's also leading a team. So I'm going to be intentional with each and every episode. I'm also only going to have interviews with people who I'm interested in and not people who are pushed on me by PR reps. There was a lot of PR rep pushing with the old I Want Her Job, and I had a hard time saying no. Now I'm at the point in my life where I'm okay saying no if something doesn't feel like a fit. So the fact that I'm hand plucking each of these people hopefully will show a deeper sense of curation with I Want Her Job. Who are these people? These are going to be people who stand out for their work, their point of view, their leadership, and their empowerment of others. Second, so the first part of the tagline is curated, the second part is career. So our curated career. So this is for ladies and everyone really who are in the thick of their careers. We're talking about issues that are relevant in this stage of your life, your career path, and your journey. I'm talking about things like identifying, coaching, and growing talent, leadership, mindset, creative solutions, navigating change, how to lead others when they're going through transitions in their lives. And finally, this brings us to conversations, the end of our tagline, curated career conversations. You can expect conversations on I Want Her Job that go beyond a typical Q&A interview. These are the types of conversations that you would have with a friend, or maybe you're sitting at a coffee shop and you're drinking your latte and you're next to a table where two friends are talking. That is the kind of conversation I promise to do my best to give you on I Want Her Job. They are trusted conversations that have a lot of give and take in them. It's a safe space. Me and the guests will ask about soft spots in a delicate way. I vouch to share the kind of advice that you'd want to share with a loved one. And that brings me to Season 1, Chapter 1. The theme is transformation. The focus is transitioning from one period to another and all the things that happen in between. I've transformed, especially over the past 3 to 4 years, and I Want Her Job is growing with me. On the topic of transformation, I need to share a little bit with you about one of my favorite books. It is called Hope for the Flowers by Trina Paulus. This book is about a caterpillar named Stripe and a caterpillar named Yellow. And Stripe goes on this journey through the woods. Then he comes and he sees this caterpillar pillar, and he starts to climb up. And as Stripe is climbing up, he's looking at all of the other caterpillars on this journey with him, and he notices no one is looking at him. They're straight ahead, they're focused on their own visions. And somewhere along his journey climbing up this caterpillar pillar, he encounters another caterpillar named Yellow. Yellow is the only one to look at him straight in the eyes. And the story goes from there. And I don't want to ruin it for you. I highly recommend you pick it up. But it's essentially a kid's book written for adults that talks about change and the power of transformation, and how before we can go off on this journey that's our life, we need to stop doing what other people are doing, and we need to focus on the change that's within ourselves. And when we do that, that's how we become the best version of ourselves for other people too. That's how we become the caterpillars that look in other people's eyes. And that's the sentiment with which I'm diving into this current chapter of I Want Her Job. So I'm going deep into the in-between. This is that suspended state of waiting. It can be agonizing. It can feel like it's never going to end. It can be racked with uncertainty and doubt and wondering if something is ever going to happen for you or something's ever going to get better. In your career, these are areas where we make changes. Maybe you're pivoting to a new career in a new industry and you're trying to figure out how to get your foot in the door. Maybe you've graduated, you're trying to get a job and you don't know how you're going to make that happen. You know, when you're in the thick of your career, as I've been, maybe you transferred to a new location and you've got to navigate that and figure out how that works with your job. We're basically going to be talking about navigating those toughest curveballs that life can throw at us and how we can stay focused on our end goal, not lose faith, not lose hope. I'm going to be talking to friends who've gone through this in their careers. I'm going to be talking to people who are in industries that are shifting and they don't know what it's going to look like in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years. And honestly, maybe that's all of our industries and all of our jobs. I think the time is right to be having this conversation right now. And when you're in the middle of this in-between, you don't always know what's coming next. You know what you hope for, but when you're not sure something is going to happen for you, what those moments feel like and how we navigate them, what helps, what to do in the moment, and what exists on the other side, those are all things that are good to know. And those are questions I'm going to be asking this season. And that starts with our very first interview. It is with Aria Stewart. Aria is one of our old school leading ladies. She has a career that spans from Disney to Hasbro and now to Lululemon. She's a fellow Montanan, and she now works as the Senior Director of Global Brand Studio and Sample Operations for Lululemon. She's lived in the Rocky Mountains, the East Coast, Toronto, and Ojai. And Aria is someone who doesn't just navigate change, she honestly thrives in it. And she has advice in our next episode on how you can do the exact same thing. So on this note of transformation and change, you know, there's another one coming too that I just want to address as the big topic in the room if you're watching this or listening to this, especially with our first few episodes that are about to come. But podcasts are new for me. Back when I did the podcast with Paulina, she would handle all of the technical side of things. And honestly, I just had to interview people and ask smart questions and engage with them on my phone. And so this is a new world. So please know that this podcast will be transforming as well. The background you see now actually has come together over the course of about 6 to 8 weeks. And so as we go to the next episode, it will look very blank. But most importantly, the audio and video is a little bit rougher for the first couple of episodes, and it gets a lot better as we go along. So please bear with me. And that's right, I said video. So since I Want Her Job was a podcast in we'll call it the Paulina era, video has become such a strong component. And so you'll be able to watch these episodes on YouTube as well. There will be short clips on social media. And this part is new for me in terms of being in front of the camera. I'm usually the one behind the camera, not filming, but working alongside my team, offering feedback on how things can proceed or be tweaked or changed, or, looking at the whole creative vision and process of it. But this is my first time setting up the video, the sound, miking. I'm miking myself, all the things. One of my interviews, I think I forgot to turn the ring light on. So I just want to address that straight up and say thank you for bearing with me as we transform through these first few episodes. Thank you so much for your time. I would love if you would go to iwantherjob.com. We have a fresh new design. It's mobile responsive. It looks so great, whether you're reading it on an iPhone or an iPad or your desktop computer. And please subscribe to my emails that are on the site. That is how you will know when our newest chapter starts. And we're always available 24/7 on iwantherjob.com, where you will find over a decade worth of interviews with women and men at some of the biggest companies, the most passionate small businesses, and everything in between. So hit up that search box and spend some time scrolling mindfully. I'm so excited to be connecting with you in this new and transformed way. Thank you for joining me. At I Want Her Job, we are mentors, risk takers, motivated by helping everyday women, goal setting, change leading, and ambitious, storytellers and story lovers, invested not in one, but in the whole. If you're with me, please share this podcast with someone in your life who's going through a season of change. All you have to do on iTunes is click on those three little dots in the upper right corner and select share episode. And if you're on YouTube, simply send the link. And while you're there, if you'd leave a review, I'd really appreciate it, because this podcast can only grow through people just like you, through listeners like you, through viewers like you, who are sharing this with the loved ones in your life. Thank you. Your time is the greatest gift that you could give me, and I'm very grateful for that. I hope something in today's show resonated with you, and that it inspires you to inspire others. Keep making it happen.